Life is messy and imperfection makes us human.
You rock, my friends. You Rock podcast is for women like you who want to own your life and live an engaged and joyful life. Hosted by Dr. Aliyah Majid, mom of 3, devoted wife, and a scientist turned life coach on a mission to empower women to take control of their lives. In this podcast, we deliver tools, insights, and inspiration on rocking your own life, owning to your highest potential, and becoming the best version of you. Now, here's your host, Dr. Aliyah Majid.
Assalamualaikum and welcome back again to Euro Podcast. If you are new here, make sure you subscribe and follow me so that you can get the new updates whenever it comes live, which is now every week on Sunday morning, inshallah. So in today's episode, I'll be sharing with you guys the power of imperfect actions. Being a high achiever myself, I always thought that if you do the right thing, if you score, if you work hard, if you get the great results in your exams, then you move further and you get what you want in your life, which might be the case in me obtaining some of the scholarships that has funded my early education and also job opportunities till the point that I achieved my initial success because of trying to obtain this perfect action and results. Meaning that all these things that I have been executing in my maybe early on in my life was about making everything looks perfect. Okay. Honestly, today I thought I would like to talk more about habits and habits formations and things like that, but I'm just not in the mood of it. I want to talk more about imperfect actions and what does this mean. Okay, I have 2 children starting school this month, and like many of you guys out there who have their kids to school, I think the struggle that you have every morning to get your kids out of bed, and especially now it's Ramadan, and maybe your children are practicing fasting, and it might be quite new to them with the changes that they have, because maybe previously most of the time they are at home and having PKP, and then they have a longer break and things like that. And these changes might be tough for some of the children. In these past few weeks, I have been I am reminding myself that it's okay to have an imperfect action. What this means is that, yeah, sometimes you want to give the best for everything that you do. Of course, that's what have brought you here, the success that you have achieved up till now. You are making sure that everything you do, you are making an excellent progress in each of the area that committed in. And of course, in our upbringing of the kids, of our own children, and at home, we want to have a perfect action too. Of course, we want it to be perfect. But recently, what I noticed is that although we can think achieving perfection, last time I found this commercial by a car manufacturer that mentioned that this car is built for perfection. So it draws on me. Yeah, that's true. When we are building something, there's this drive to build it to perfection. But to be honest, in our life, we are not built for perfection, because, of course, if you are a Muslim, the only perfect imperfection in this world is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as for us, what makes, if we are not striving for perfection, and what are we striving for? So I think that is the topic that I wanted to just discuss today and bring this out open about how sometimes our environment, the education that we has brought up, we think that there's a perfect solution in life. I get asked by my client, I think it was yesterday, because she is deciding to go the different way from the direction of what she has learned throughout her university. She is actually studying master in engineering, but after a while, she found that this is not giving anything for her in terms of self-fulfillment and even in terms of financial support for her own family. She asked me this question that keeps me thinking up till now. She asked me whether it is wrong for her to choose a different path. And I'm a bit shocked by that question because for me there's no one clear path for everyone. And the right path is, of course, for us to be our better self. And whatever journey that will take us to that path of us becoming a better self would be the right path. And that is what I believe in. So it doesn't mean that if you are neglecting whatever technical field that you have learned before this, it doesn't mean that you are wrong. It doesn't mean that you are wasting money that you have been invested in you learning all those things in your early days. This is because, let's just be honest here, right? If you reflect back on the way we are brought up, the opportunities when we score high score in our class and when we get good grades, there are two options for you to move even further, which is medical or engineering. And that's it. Most of the fundings, most of the scholarships, most of the supports that's given to us during that time are usually based on these two ideas that during that time our prime minister really needing more people in medical field and in engineering field, and therefore those opportunities was much more available for us to discover than other fields that we don't even know up till now. Okay, and also really grateful for having that opportunity that funded my early education and that has brought me up to the success that I have until now. What I'm sharing with you guys today is what's getting you here is not going to get you there. What this means is that if you are searching, if you are aiming for exponential growth in your life, you can't think the way you are thinking before, the way that you present yourself, the way that you take action, the perspective that you have in your life. Something must be shifted in order for you to find new opportunities for growth. Because now I think you already realize that there's so many paths and there's so many opportunity, and but which one is the one that will lead you to more fulfillment and enjoyment in your life, which of course that would be the thing that you want to achieve ultimately, right? I remember that when I gave birth to my first son 9 years back, something shifted in my life because I thought that I knew everything about life. I knew that if you plan to do this thing and if you work hard for it, you can achieve it. Okay? I still remember the few months leading to my due date. I prepare everything, I read everything, and I thought that I am already well equipped with a manual. I think I read about 3 books back to back. Everything I highlighted everything so that I know what to do in any situation, really prepared for it, because that's just me. I like to be prepared all the time, at least that time. So when the time comes, I know that I can have this perfect action plan to execute the things that I need to do during the confinement and during the 3 months maternity leave. I even remember that I planned to attend conference overseas after just giving birth to my baby on the same year. I thought that's just a perfect time for me to go together as a family and take that opportunity to travel to a new place and while also me working. But of course, like I mentioned just now, life is messy and imperfection makes us human. Although I can say that my first pregnancy, it was a fairly easy pregnancy, and labor. The confinement period was really challenging for me as I have no close relatives nearby. I was living in Sarawak at that time and I don't have any relatives. And this is my first son. So I thought I knew everything, but no, I don't know anything. I don't know what to do most of the times because I think during that time, being really tired after giving birth and things like that, I also cannot think during this time of action. When you are in action, sometimes, although you have already thought that you prepared so much, it doesn't just click that way. It doesn't, the answer just doesn't just come directly like that. And to top this off, when around 8 months old, we discovered that my son had a rare food allergy. So that is called food protein induced enterocolitis syndrome, FPIS. It is a rare food allergy that affects the gastrointestinal GI tract. And unlike most food allergies, the symptoms of FPIS do not begin immediately after eating. So instead, it takes hours before severe symptoms begin. So what this means is that he would enjoy eating food. He loved eating. But after a couple of hours, he would vomit. Okay, he just vomit. During that time, we didn't know what it was. And one night, he was vomiting so badly several times and he was admitted to the hospital. And the doctor also didn't know what caused that at first because he thought that it might be something with the infection, maybe food poisoning. That day, it begins our journey of finding out what happens to my son and why he kept on vomiting. And as a scientist that I am, so I knew immediately that I need to record the data of his vomit behavior and when does this happen, when did he eat, what did he eat that day, etc. What I'm telling you guys about this is that remember the conference that I was excited to go in the first place? So now it has become my least concern. I thought I have this perfect planning, but my perfect planning isn't perfect anymore because now I'm left with unattainable expectations that I set for myself. Okay, what this means is that we can plan, we can have all these goals in our life, but life is messy. Remember, again and again, I'm telling you guys that life is messy and imperfection makes us human. So deal with that. I'm just telling you the truth, just to deal with that. So how can we deal with that? Okay, you might ask me, how can I deal with wanting to be certain about the future and wanting to move forward and removing this maybe the fear of failure when you are taking risks, when you are wanting to step out of your comfort zone. Yes, it is okay to achieve, to aim high and dream big. But instead of having these high and unachievable standards, aim for progress instead. Progress gets you going. It helps you to show up with all of your imperfections. I'm a total perfectionist before this, but I am a recovering perfectionist. I have learned that life is messy and we have to embrace the fact that we are not in control for all of the things that happens. Like I was one who liked to set high standards, too concerned over mistakes, and was always needing of people's approval. And this actually leads to me to be procrastinating my actions, because I want everything to be perfect from the starting point. Then I learned that procrastination is often a symptom of perfectionism because perfectionists fear being unable to complete a task perfectly and they put it off as long as possible. And this stems from the fear that not meeting the goal means that there is something bad, wrong, or unworthy inside of them. How can you break the loop of perfectionism and procrastination? Although some people might perceive that perfectionism habits is what gets them to success they are now, and they might feel like this perfectionism is actually the strength that they have in their life. Continuously living with perfectionism habits might hurt you more than it does good. But it is possible to recover from perfectionist thinking, and many people have applied these techniques to their own inner lives, and myself included, and have reaped the rewards of recovering from needing to be a perfectionist all the time. To break the perfectionism habit comes in three parts. And first is to upgrade your self-talk. You have to compassionately notice, understand, and manage your internal voices, especially your inner critics. And because it is easy for us to critique our own self, we never talk like that for other people. For example, let's say that today you may be not having enough sleep because yesterday your baby is waking up so many times at night, and you are not getting enough sleep today. Okay. And of course, maybe because of that, your face look tired, and you're rushing and preparing for work, and you might look at the mirror and see what a mess you are today. And starting from that, you start to critique all of other aspects of yourself, starting from how tired your face are looking, and then you are criticizing your body, and so on. And think about it this way: have you ever talked like this to other people? But why we are telling ourselves like that? Why are we criticizing our own self like that? Because we are our biggest critics. First, in order for you to break your perfectionist habit, you have to upgrade your self-talk. Secondly, is to reconnect with your inner wisdom, reconnect with your authentic self, body, intuitionally and spiritually. So what this means is that you know yourself, or what's your strength, what's your weaknesses, and you know what energizes you every day. Reconnect with yourself, with your inner wisdom. Trust your heart. What does it telling you? And work on your zone of genius. I always mention this again and again. And thinking that although we want to strive for high performance, although we want to strive for higher excellence, but perfectionism is not the same. Perfectionism is a place that we want to go. However, striving for excellence, making progress, is the journey that we are taking to get there. Incremental progress is what would get you there. The third technique is by reprogramming your subconscious mind. How we speak our world informs how we see our world, which creates our actions and the results that we create. And mindset shifts everything, and without actions, there are no results. Think about how do you speak to your world right now. It actually affects all of the actions that you are taking. Shift your mindset, and even shifts the actions that you take that will lead to the result that you make. The three techniques that I mentioned just now cultivates the acceptance and inner peace that perfectionists have been striving for most of their lives. If you want to have more ease, joy, and flow in your day, you have to practice these techniques, because when we are not listening to the voice of fear or our inner critic, we approach life with a creative and courageous mindset that attracts more opportunities, connection, achievement, and happiness. So stop listening to the voice of fear inside you. And this voice of fear inside of you, it is trying to keep you safe, but usually it is not true. So some people might think, so what if I am afraid of the dark? So that what if I'm afraid of a snake? So that is a different kind of fear. Okay, that is a totally different kind of fear. But our body responds the same way when we're having fear of taking action. Our body might feel sense the same thing, like we are having this fear. Maybe you are walking in the dark in the parking area. You have this fear inside of you. Of course, it's the real thing. But remember, when you are having the other part of fear that I mentioned just now, when you are taking this, making progress, you feel this fear resistance. It is trying to keep you safe, but usually it is not true. But listen instead to your inner wisdom. Reconnect with your body, heart, and soul, and slow down to really listen to your intuitive unconscious mind and your emotions. And strengthen your spiritual connection, because all of this wisdom is already there, ready and waiting to guide you on the journey of your life. If you are ready to consciously connect with your inner wisdom and nurture it, if it's the right time for you, book a 30 minutes session with me and we can discuss your first step towards your personal perfectionist recovering program, we might say, or anything that would get you to the next action that you want to take in your life. To sum this up, perfectionism might be the cause of your delayed success. It starts from taking the action. If you want to get to the point that you want in your life, you have to take action. Start with that imperfect action. Through a lot of small imperfect actions that are done consistently over long periods of time is how you become a true expert at something. You have to be okay with this process, the process of taking imperfect actions. This is the fastest way to get to your ultimate destination, wherever it may be. I'll give you one example of myself and my coaching business. Okay? So I know that I want to share my content online, and there's so many ways to go about it. But I found that talking in this podcast is the best way that I can deliver consistently. I know that I will somehow one day to be available on YouTube with having my face to you guys, because I think I love seeing the people on YouTube, seeing their faces. But that has not becoming the thing that I want to do, although that was actually my initial plan, because I learned that having imperfect actions, having imperfect content out there is better than zero content. So sometimes I have planned and written good articles, and from that I maybe read some things to deliver to you guys in this podcast. But most of the time I just talk with lesser preparation because I don't have time to do it. And I realize that sometimes even the content that I speak from my heart, that was the content that have more conversion, more interaction, more people are listening to them. Showing up even with your imperfection, that's how you lead your life. That's how courageous and confident people, high performing women, are moving into that direction. That's the movement that I've been seeing right now. People love you more with your imperfect actions. Remember that imperfect actions are better than zero actions. And that's all for today. Remember to start your day with intention, love what you do, and your day with gratitude. I'll see you next week. Assalamualaikum.
Are you struggling to find time for yourself or for things that matters to you? Or if you even ever find some time, you found that you can't simply slow down and stop thinking about work. If you are one of those women, you'll benefit from the Success Accelerator program, my 12 weeks one-on-one success and productivity coaching program that helps you to do less and get more work done so that you can spend more time doing things you love. Book a free call with me at draliamajid.com/coaching, or you can do a self-assessment using my free life audit workbook at draliamajid.com/life audit, or you can even join my Facebook group from the link below. Again, thanks so much for tuning in. Bye bye. Assalamualaikum.